Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the fifth episode of RK Leadership, where we empower leaders, tomorrow's leaders, with knowledge and experience. And my guest today is Ali Konsari, and I will let Ali introduce himself and kind of walk us through his journey to leadership and his accomplishments. And I would like to thank you, Ali, for giving me the time today to meet with you and for you to share your knowledge with the audience. So without any further ado, please introduce yourself and walk us through your journey.
Thanks, Val. It's always good to see you.
Thank you.
You're a good friend, but a great leader as well. So my name is Ali Konsari, as Vahab said. My wife and I own a dental laboratory here in Barrie, Ontario. We've owned and operated for just over 23 years now, and bought the business at that time from my father-in-law, who was in the business for about 35 years at that time, and just changed everything to kind of adapt with the world. The business had been running at a different location, and we kind of really just took a look at what was happening in the market, tried to figure out how would we adjust, and we really, put a lot of sweat and effort into it, but adapted with the people. We listened to our team, we worked with our team, we took a bunch of different courses to improve our knowledge, which essentially provided our customer base with a better understanding of what we did, why we did it, and how we were really unique at what we did compared to our other competitors. But truthfully, it's more, everything boils down to problem solving for us. But it's been fun. It's been a great thing. My background, I have a marketing degree. I went through after I became a dental assistant as well to understand the clinical side of what happens. My wife is an RDT, which is a dental technologist. So there was a direct correlation. I mean, I'm very good at dealing with people, and she was very good at the technical. And so the combination of the two made us successful, I think, to where we are today. We have an amazing group of people that we work with. They're young, they're energetic, they're flexible, they adapt to the market, what we're doing, and they want to be part of change, and they want to be part of, a future. They take pride in their work, which makes it easy for us to do our jobs. And truthfully, at this stage where we're at now, the team that we've created and built together, my job is to look forward at what's coming, and how do we have the resources, but also provide them with everything that they need to be successful.
That's right.
And step out of the way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you talked about, your father-in-law owning and initiating this business, and it's a 50-year-old business, as you discussed. What vision did you have when coming in to make that differentiation of what you were going to add in terms of value, with a lot of competition, obviously, in the market? How are you going to differentiate this business from what it was before and moving forward?
Sure. So, I mean, I think the business at the time was very much Eric was one of the hardest working guys I know, but he's very driven on, if there was time to do, if you had 15 minutes, you would shift over and do something else, or so you can get this. It was very old school, and the customer service side of things, it was always about the product. And I think maybe that's the biggest shift. The product standards or expectations, I think, have changed. And some for better, some for worse. But at the end of the day, everything that we do today, we focus on, we want the best product to go out the door, and we want the best product to be created in our doors, so that we can make sure that expectation, because it's a healthcare business.
Yeah.
And it's healthcare first. So I think from what we were to what we are now is really adjusting to make sure that we can meet the current needs of the market, but also listen to people. Our customers are having problems. I think that's the fundamental difference of where we were to where we are, is that we actually felt and listened, tried to find solutions. And I think I tell my kids all the time, everything is solution based. You have to look for solutions, because when someone's got a problem, they don't want to hear what your problem is about their problem. They want to hear, how can you help them find a solution to it? So I think, again, it's, you surround yourself with the right people. And I think that takes a lot of time and a lot of investment of putting people in programs and courses and learning. And also, I think we overlook people need to fail.
Yeah.
If you fail, you learn from that experience and then you can evolve. And we've got a good group of people that, again, I just go back, the significance of what we have in this business is based on the way that people carry themselves and interact with each other. Basic elements of just being kind.
Absolutely.
Go a significant way, especially when something goes wrong. Because if you can talk to somebody, whether it's your customer or your colleague, there's a greater understanding and willingness to help. So I think what we're all trying to do.
Good. No, that's amazing. So you also talked about, you started off as a, going in, doing some, as a dental assistant. So shifting now to leading a big team, how did you have to work on, your skills, and what did you have any fears coming in terms of leadership, and how did you make those adjustments from going from being a single contributor to now leading a big team?
I think you don't know what you don't know.
That's right.
Right. And I think as you look in the industry, whichever industry you're in, you have to find people to help you. Also identify how you can grow and be more mentors, to kind of give you some direction and learn from them. I never try to recreate something because there's people that are doing these things. I just want to understand, how do I make things better? And how can I take your feedback and figure out how to improve what I'm doing moving forward? So, the shift with people has always been, it's a gradual progression of growth that we've had with our team members here. But as you've gone through them, we've gone forward and then we've gone backwards.
Yeah.
It's very humbling. And it's not just financial driven. I think, you and I, we share a lot of the same values of, it's not a dollar component. Everybody should make a good living and everybody should work hard. But if you're only focused on the dollars, it's the hardest thing to chase, and it's short term.
Yeah.
So our philosophy has always been, how do we provide the most sustainable environment for our employees to maintain, and our community to maintain good jobs so that they can progress. And if you can do that, then we're doing great. So yeah,
that's great. Now you also have a GM that runs your business for you. So when you're going out and looking for another leader to run your business, what are you looking for in terms of traits and character, and who do you want to be put in that place to run the ship?
Sure. So good. I think that's very, it's a difficult question, because you can go through the general things of, do they have let's call it the academic or theoretical background of what's required? Yeah. That's one part, but I think you've got to assess, what are the key things of your business? It's not just the individual. Kevin's background was in the dental community. He came here, and it's just about what level of customer service. So, I trust Kevin with everything. If he wants, or truthfully, we trust anybody in this place. All of our senior leaders, supervisors, if they want to buy a piece of equipment, they can. They just need to look at their team and justify why they want that. If a technician wants to stop how we process certain things on the floor, they can, but they have to justify why. So everything for leadership to me is building the people around you that will also help evolve what you're doing as a group, not just as a business per se, but as, how do you help, bring everybody, and I'm not describing it very well, but I think we, in the role that Kevin has, I think the level of customer service matched what I would want, what I expected. So that's what I look for. I look for the ability for someone to have a conversation with anybody, and also the ability to kind of step in and help in any way. We've had cases where, one example I can give you really quick is, we had a case that came in and something got mixed in the front, as far as on the shipping and receiving side. One of the dates got mixed up, which can happen when you're processing these cases. But we didn't just say we couldn't do it. We coordinated to make sure that the case got done. Somebody stayed to help to do the work that needed to be done. Somebody then had to make sure that everything got invoiced, shipped, and was accurate. But then the shipping side, we didn't have enough time to ship it. So Kevin got in the car and drove it up to Sudbury for the next morning. So it's an example My point is that everybody is helping everybody. That's the type of leadership that we need, especially when your GM takes that case at 4 a.m. and drives it up to Sudbury to make sure that the patient and the office receive that. And their expression when he shows up is exactly why we all do what we do and take pride. So finding the right people is the most important thing. And everybody says that. But there are really good people. And I think one of the important things too, Val, is it's not just a lot of young people are really, really excellent. They just need hope.
Yeah.
And they need pathways to know, where can I go? What can I do? How can I make a great living in this space? Because our business is no different than every business out there. We just make very customized, specific components, let's call it.
Yeah. And mentorship is quite important in, anywhere you are, especially for younger folks that sometimes get lost in the realm of things. So I think that's great to have that kind of leaders on your team. And in the case where Kevin actually takes something and drives it up to a customer, that's, leading by example.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
I'm sure your team sees that.
Mm-hmm.
So in another aspect of your business now, you mentioned that you do work with your wife, Jen, and she is the president of the company.
Yeah.
And, she's your boss at work and also at home.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, when they talk about business and running a family business, there's a lot of barriers that come into place. There's a lot of friction, tension. How do you deal with that and avoid that situation? And what boundaries do you put in place, or what expectations do you guys talk about to avoid those those
challenges? Yeah.
Challenges. Yeah.
I mean, listen, anybody who's in a family business will tell you that it is extremely difficult because those boundaries change all the time.
That's right.
So I think when Jen and I started working together, I stayed on all the HR customer service side of it, and Jen was all technical. Very clean line down the middle. Mm-hmm. As we grew, that line got blurred because technical and customer service had to interact. And as I kept evolving, there was just more things that would accumulate. And I think that's where you really identify the skill set, because Jen was excellent she's a phenomenal technician, but she didn't want to manage people. And that's not her forte. And that wasn't her area of expertise. So that's kind of where I was very good at managing people. And that's where I was able to kind of take over that side as well. But you're constantly changing it. But it's a real difficult thing. And I would say in families, the more people that are involved, you need to have one leader to give the direction, and you have to have everybody agree that that's the direction we want to go.
That's right.
And if you establish that at the beginning, it makes it much easier, and you can prevent a lot of unnecessary time, trying to identify who does what, who's responsible for what. And even in here right now, I look at all of these guys as part of our family, essentially, because they all run parts of this business.
Yeah.
And they all have to work together collectively. So family or not, when we're here, we're responsible for everybody.
Yeah.
So that's a critical part that it if it's addressed at the beginning, you have more success. It's still challenging, no matter what anyone says. And then, but I would say the balance that exists is in your life with people, kids, schools, all of these things. You have to look at it and be fair to everybody that you're working with as well. And if you can do that, you're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, because again, I bring that up because you've done such a great job, not only from a family perspective, but from a business perspective as well. So, kudos to you for doing that. What I wanted to talk to you about next was innovation. Innovation, I know you guys talk about that on your website as well, and the importance of it to you. And I want you to talk to us about what innovation means to you, and how do you try to keep up with technology, and how do you implement certain innovations in your business?
Sure. So again, I think everything is changing everywhere. Technology is, AI, everybody talks about all these amazing things that are happening, and they are. But fundamentally, you have to have people running at this point. So how has technology changed? I mean, so our business, if you asked me 6 or 7 years ago, did I think we'd have, printers, mills, scanners, all these things in here, I would have said no. But that shifted so quickly because we realized that there was processes that were improved significantly with some automation.
That's right.
So, at the beginning, I had this concern that, oh my gosh, we're going to lose all these, staff are going to be like, I don't want to work here, or I'm going to lose my job because of the technology, which is in fact the opposite. We've embraced it, and we pushed in the way that said, look, if we're going to, implement these technologies, how do we do it so that it's efficient, but also helps, careers and pathways for people, but it requires them to also change the way they're thinking. So we've brought in scanners and mills. We've done different courses that we take to learn these processes. We go down to trade shows in the States where, you've got bigger dental conventions in Toronto as well. And then also too in Germany that show what's coming, what's changing in the industry. How do we adapt to what's needed? And do we want to adapt to some of it? Because some of the technology, the life cycle on it isn't worth, committing the time and effort. And also the market, understanding what our market needs. There's 1,000 gadgets. It doesn't mean you need 1,000 gadgets.
That's right.
To be successful. So we've implemented a variety of technologies, but I think we've done it in a cautious way without, being financially irresponsible and putting anybody's employment or livelihoods at risk. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
and that's again, it really helps the employees from a trust perspective.
Sure.
That their leader cares about them and that they're looking for their best interests as well, and not just a financial perspective. That's not a line. Awesome. So I know a lot of people would love to hear this, and I wanted you to share your experience. Again, you being an entrepreneur as well, can you give advice to people on joining the board? I know you're sitting on various boards.
Mm-hmm.
How can they prepare, and what skills are required to sit on a board?
The board experience for me has been really rewarding because it's a different perspective to see leadership and then kind of observe how a massive organization that's significantly larger than what we operate run, and those layers you really have to process things, because sometimes it's very difficult to relate to them because they're just so much larger. We have a smaller business. One of the boards that I sit on is at a budget that's, humongous, but they've also got so many different layers. So the ability for them to make changes requires those steps and the details.
That's right.
Whereas in our situation, we get our team together and we can shift really quickly if we need to, which doesn't exist. But understanding the financial of some of these, big monsters and how they operate, these big giants, is probably a better term.
Yeah.
It's really amazing, and you learn a lot. You see a lot of different experts coming in. It's again the driving factor for me is community. I mean, everything we do here, we're very fortunate. We always want to help our community. We want to help our community evolve. We want to help our community realize that yes, we manufacture, make these things, but at the same time, everybody who works here is participating, giving back to our community, whether it's time here, time there, or the fact that we are a business in Barrie, ensuring the community and businesses and things like that. These are all relevant factors. But the board experience has been a great one. It's been very rewarding to understand just the different facets of how larger organizations run.
Yeah.
And then you can pick parts of it and say, this is what I kind of think will help us. And I have looked at different things that have gone on some of the different boards that have made me better at what we do here. I've opened up ideas that I wouldn't have been exposed to. So I would encourage anyone to participate, but you do have to spend time and you have to commit. I mean, that expression when we say what you put in, you get out.
Yeah,
it's very true with any type of board.
So if a young entrepreneur or a young professional wants to get on one of these boards, but they lack the experience, what would be the best steps to take in order to start sitting on some of those boards?
I think the biggest thing, Val, is you just got to start getting connected. I mean, I can tell you at the college here, I was on a variety of committees before, and they're not all fundraising. I mean, everybody associates, but you learn a lot about the communities. There's a dental community there, so we participated on one of the committees there that allowed us to see how things operate. Then there's different committees that just get connected, put yourself out there, reach out to the area of expertise that you have as a starting point. And then you can navigate through the rest of it. And they'll want you to navigate because they'll see that you want to help that community, that organization. So, but just reach out. I think you'd be surprised. There's a lot of organizations that are looking for board members because in some cases they require a lot of time, but for the most part, you just have to reach out and ask someone or make that connection. Go to different events that they run. See if it's a fit for what you want as well.
That's right.
I mean, personally, I believe in the college here. I think it's a very valuable tool for our community. And I think the hospital, the police, I mean, those elements are always critical for the growth of any community. But I'm a big supporter. I believe in what's there. And I think if you're going to join a board, that's another part. You need to be a believer.
That's right.
You need to, you have to buy into everything.
Yeah.
That's my personality anyways. We fully commit and believe in it. And, but just reach out. I think just taking that initial step is the hard part. But once you start doing it, you realize that other doors open and other pathways for you to get involved.
Absolutely. So again, networking is key.
Yep.
Giving back to the community. My philosophy is never forget where you came from.
Sure.
So I think that kind of aligns with what you're saying. So for some of the folks that don't know, and they watch shows like the Shark Tank and Dragon's Den, Ali has been on one of those shows, and I want you to take us back to the pitch on Dragon's Den. And what was the experience like, and what would you share with the audience that that are looking at putting something together and needing funding for a product or an idea? Walk us through that experience.
So the Dragon's Den experience was it was a really interesting, amazing experience to learn. It was a long time ago, but there was a dentist, a denturist, myself, and another partner, and we took all of our knowledge and we put it together. We created this denture product for patients to clean their dentures, essentially. And we went through, patenting it and everything like that. So the whole design to actual physical product in hand, that experience was very unique. You learn a ton. Going on Dragon's Den, so you had to audition for it at the time. Yeah. And we did ours, I think it was in Collingwood. And they do these calls. So they have them at different centers in the communities. They say, look, if you have an idea, bring it here, present it. And they have a group from the actual show at the time. They reviewed your product. They assessed what it was. And they said, all right. And then you wait to see, will you have that opportunity to get there and have some, present it to these guys. So when we got chosen, then we kind of evolved the pitch plan and went through that whole process with the actual crew that was there as well, too, because we needed to know a pitch that was kind of presentable, because it's a TV show at the end of the day.
That's right, yeah.
So you can't just go on there unprepared without anything. They wanted a real clean understanding of what you were going to do, how you were going to do it, and they advised you, this is not going to be, you're going to run out of time or whatever it may be. But the experience of going down there, the experience of walking through and going through that was really, really quite amazing. We had, so the four of us presented, but the nerves that you get when you're going, they are very real. I mean, it's a hard, when you're looking at some of these guys, the way that it's set up there, it does make you kind of realize that, oh my God, these are really significant individuals that are significant leaders. And all you're thinking about is all the things you've seen, where people have been just, shredded apart because they didn't have this, they didn't have their financials down, they didn't think about this, they had terrible sales. The experience though for us was, we knew all of our stuff because that's what we did. we were already immersed in this space. So going on the show it was a lot of fun. I mean, I remember coming back, and I don't think I really fully grasped the significance of it until after. And I mean, even after a few years of what it was, but we had a great time, and I learned a ton. I went to China with one of the guys. I want to go see the actual manufacturing facilities. And again, I would never have done that if I didn't try to take that leap. But I was also fortunate enough that I was able to do that because I was looking around, and when I went, we had people here that were helping. So everything goes back to if you want to do these things, just surround yourself with really good people because they make you better, if that makes sense. But that experience was remarkable. We had another, with the same guy that I went to China with, we had 2 other products that actually were on that show as well after,
awesome.
which were great. And they were different. He was my friend was an industrial designer. And so we went down a path of creating some of these. And again, those interests were purely sparked because of that experience.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Did you guys end up getting an offer from the Dragon? Remember you did?
We did actually. Yeah. We had, so Gym for Living made an offer to us. And a lot of the things on the challenge with the show is that you can get an offer, but what happens next is the question that everybody asks. So you go through due diligence, they can participate, or you can kind of veer off and just go independent. Well, we ended up, the show was great from an awareness, obviously, aspect of it, but we ended up taking the product directly to market. So our group of 4 took it to market, and we were in Shoppers, Jean Coutu, Walmart, a lot of these places. And then the product kind of sold for a period of time. The product is still a great product, but at the same time, I think, the comment about when you work with a family, how do you divide the roles? And I think that experience, because all the guys that we were partners with were excellent, but everybody had different goals, I think, maybe. And if you can't align everybody together, you can have the greatest product in the world, but you may not find that path. The product will still navigate, but at some point you've got to kind of identify what that was. And I think that's what happened. The product's still available, but it's kind of running its cycle, unfortunately. But I still think it's great.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
So what would be the lesson that you'd like to share with, again, the younger folks that want to initiate that entrepreneurship or, developing something from scratch?
Yeah.
And a lot of people do get discouraged because they don't see the results right away, right? So what would your feedback be to these people?
So I think
A recommendation.
Yeah, no, my advice I would say to anybody is that you have to put time in. You have to be open to criticism. You have to be willing to understand that not everyone will go exactly the way that it should. And you got to be able to adapt to that. And there's nothing wrong with trying to find a different way to get to where you want to be. But you need clear goals of what it is. And you need to be kind and honest.
Yeah.
Because if you do those things, you'll find the right people. And if you find the right people, then you'll find the right pathway of getting to where you want to go. I mean, I think, when I was a kid growing up, I always wanted to be in a business. And it didn't matter what business, truthfully. I always knew I liked people. I was good at dealing with people. I understand how to help people. And I also knew that whatever environment I was around, I wanted to make it better. And so when I played sports, it was the same thing. When I got older, I started doing little jobs that I started up a small little lawn cutting business or whatever it may be. Those are always, how do I keep evolving and kind of stepping outside and pushing? But really, it's all the stuff I have is in my mind, a very simple approach. If you take pride in what you do, if you're kind, and if you can empathize with people, you just have to put your head down and realize if you're honest, you will be successful. But you have to work.
Yeah.
You can't, Jen and I, this is 23 years now, 22 years now.
Wow.
That we've been here. And I can tell you, when we started, we didn't have a lot, but we knew that together we could kind of keep it going. But that never would have happened if we didn't get all these other people involved.
That's right.
But I can tell you, there's a history with a lot of these people, and a lot of people don't know that. I mean, I went to high school with some of the guys that work here. I know some of the parents of some of the people that work here. So there's definitely a connection, but that connection is real, and I like that connection because I want people to know that there's a genuine care.
That's right.
And if we can do that, and we're small enough that we can do that, right? Again, going back to the board experience, there's a lot of organizations, they just don't have that ability to have that personal interaction. In this type of business, in any small business, again, that understanding what's going on with your team will make you more successful.
Absolutely.
And you have to do the work, you have to be kind, but just long term, that's the strategy for me. It's always been, making a buck isn't the solution. Trying to just churn dollar to make sure that your year looks good is the worst strategy. So, and it's not something that I grew up believing my values at my home. So that's kind of that's my feedback.
What's fulfillment mean to you? What fulfills you in life?
I think in different stages. I mean, right now, fulfillment is trying to find how do we keep evolving everyone's pathways. And I always say pathways because careers to me is a difficult word. Pathways are, when you've got somebody that starts working here at the age of 20, I don't want them to ever leave here. But at the age of 60, their job has to be significantly different than what they were doing at 20. So fulfillment is being able to see how our team actually has evolved to create these things without me. I mean, I certainly can share my experience, and that's what we do. But fulfillment is seeing that actually translate to seeing next generation of families coming through here, where people have worked here and their kids are now here in that same space working. It's awesome. And then community. I mean, for me, I'd just love to print money and give it to everybody because I think everybody needs all the community groups in particular. There's a lot of help that's needed.
Yes.
And if they get that help, there's a benefit that comes back as well to the people. I think that's the ultimate fulfillment is helping others.
Exactly.
Right? So
you nailed it.
Yeah.
That's for everybody that I've certainly studied who's been very successful in life. People always think it's about money at the end of the day, how much money you can gain at the end of it. But for them, it was when they got to that point, it was who can they help and who can they give back to? So I think that's the real part of what fulfillment is.
I'll just tell you one other quick one. So we'll do something in this lab, and this kind of give you an indicator of how, from a fulfillment aspect, where I take great pride is, so we do these hand molds for people in hospice. So we started this about 8 years ago. And so what happens is when someone's in hospice, it's end of life care. We put these kits together. We taught them how to take these hand molds where someone's loved one is holding their hands, and then we pour the stone model. We bring them back, they drop them off, we pour them. Now everybody who works on them does it at their own time, on their own time. And it's not about the time aspect, it's about wanting to help. But the impact that it's had on our people, I can tell you, is tremendous. The fact that they're so careful, so meticulous in realizing how important that is, but also at the same time, the feedback that comes from hospice with the gratitude for them. So again, when you talk about monetary isn't the issue, but that's changed lives in here and there, but it's a great thing to see in your organization. So, and that's, organically growing. We've done that for a bunch of years, and we're trying to kind of keep pushing that to other centers, saying, look, if you've got other partners that can help you.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's a great initiative, and kudos to you and for doing that.
Yeah, it's great.
That was a warm feeling.
Yeah,
hearing that kind of stuff. Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to ask you is, again, with a lot of business owners and professionals out there, you sit on boards, you're running this business, you've got kids. How do you balance how do you manage your time to be able to enjoy life, look after your kids, run the business, and do all these extra, curricular activities on the side? How do you manage that?
So I think it's like a trial and error, to be honest with you. I think you have to kind of You have to pick and choose what you're going to do with your time. And as you know, when the kids are younger, it was chaos. Like we were running in 500 directions type thing and trying to make sure that everything, you know, is going to be sustainable. But I think you realize what buckets need your attention. And then you realize too that you need help. I mean, if you need help at home, we have 3 kids. Jen was back to work 2 weeks after our first daughter was born, you know, and then I was back there because I was able to flex more and take care of that. And that's just being able to, again, adapt. She had to technically be here to do the work.
That's right. Teamwork,
100%. So these aspects of that, organizing your time and trying to figure out, again, how much time do you have to do these things? And then also realizing when you need help to help you get organized. I think that's probably been the best part for us is, you know, we've got different people that have looked and said, look, you know, let's reassess the structure of what you're doing. Let's figure this out. There's no doubt when you deal with financial, accountants, banks, all these individuals, they're great resources because they're dealing with hundreds of businesses.
Yeah.
And when they see that you're having the same challenges that this business and this business, they become a great resource to help you navigate. How do you, if I need some help at home, for example, where can I get some help or in the office? If we need somebody to come in because I don't have time to do this, you know, aspect of the role, where can we find that individual to help us? Those aren't directly from me just trying to look. Those are directly from partners that we currently work with.
That's right.
That already understand our business. So time management is always a challenge, but at the end of the day, you just got to kind of really look at priorities. And Kevin and I go through this all the time. You know, we could have a priority list that's got 100 items on it, but that is never going to get accomplished. So we really look at 5 things. Yes. And those 5 things, you know, you can check them off. There's something about when you can check something off and then move on that is critical for your state of mind. Yeah. But it's helped us. And you try to kind of then initiate that with next level of people coming through so they can understand, you know, don't have a list with 25 things, 5 things, get them done.
Yep.
Then you can go to the next one. Then you can keep going. But do you have other areas too that you can put things down, create a greater list of, you know, but you're just going to spend time creating a list and nothing's going to get accomplished.
Right, yeah.
It is a tricky balance, but I think if you, again, surround yourself, I will say people should realize the value in any business and the relationship that you should have with your banks, with your accountants. If you establish good relationships with them, they will help you tremendously evolve as your business evolves. The accountants in particular, they have a better grasp of what your business is doing. And again, like I said, if they look at any other business, and it may not be the same sector, but they can see the same patterns and know where can you get help. That's whether it's, you know, in a different component of how the business operates. Same thing with the financial institutions. They are very helpful, but you have to spend the time. Yeah, it's like when you were asking about the boards, go meet them, you know, invite them to your business.
Build a relationship.
Build a real relationship. You know, it makes a difference.
I like how you didn't say lawyers.
Yeah. Everybody likes lawyers too. I mean, they are good, but go with the accountants and the financial institutions first.
Awesome. No, I greatly appreciate your time, Ali, and I know how busy you are. And one of the things, you know, I love about this guy is he's a very successful individual, but at the same time, he's so humble and kind. Just like he says, kindness is very important, and he lives it. So I greatly appreciate, you know, your friendship over the years, your family values, everything aligns so well. And you know, I'm grateful to have a friend like yourself, and I've learned so much from you as well, and I'd love to continue learning from you. And again, I want to thank you so much for spending your busy day with me and doing this podcast. It means a lot to me.
It's my pleasure, Rob. It's, again, like I said, it's nice to see how things evolve with you as well. And, you know, when we were talking about this, and you said, Ali, how about doing one of these? I said, for sure. But realize too that there's a benefit when you find people in the same mindset. And this is exactly why it's so good. And that's why we've always been, good friends and got along so well with each other. So I appreciate you coming up here too. And yeah, thank you so much. What experience.
Thank you. And for all those, if anyone out there has any questions that they'd like to ask Ali, put your comments below or put your questions below, and I'll make sure they'll get sent over to him, and hopefully he'll find some time to answer your question. Have a good one, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.